welcome back, or if you're new here, I'm really happy you decided to join me today. This episode is a little close to my heart because it's something I think we all struggle with at some point, the temptation to give up. I mean, let's be real. We all hit walls sometimes, right? Whether it's in school, in our jobs, in relationships, or even just trying to reach personal goals, there comes a point where it feels like, why am I even doing this? Or maybe this just isn't for me. That voice of self-doubt gets louder, things don't go as planned, you keep trying and nothing seems to change. It's exhausting. And honestly, it's okay to feel that way. But what I've learned, and what I want to share with you today, is that some of the most successful, inspiring, and impactful people in the world had moments just like that. Moments where everything was going wrong, where they failed again and again, where no one believed in them. But they kept going. They didn't give up. And eventually, they broke through. So in this episode, I want to take a closer look at those stories, not just to admire them, but to really learn from them. What kept them going? What did they tell themselves in the darkest moments? What can we take from their experiences and apply to our own lives when we feel like giving up? Whether you're going through something tough right now or just need a reminder of your own strength, this episode is for you. Let's jump into some powerful lessons from people who never gave up, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find the motivation you've been looking for. Before we get into the stories, I think it's really important to take a moment to talk about something we don't always say out loud: why people feel like giving up. Because let's be honest, it's not always easy to admit when we're feeling that way. But the truth is, everyone goes through it. Even the people you look up to. Even the people who seem confident, successful, and put together, they've all had moments where they felt like walking away from everything. So why does that feeling come up? Well, sometimes it's because we're exhausted. You've been working so hard towards something, maybe it's a goal, a dream, a relationship, your studies, or even just trying to improve yourself, and you're doing everything you can, but it feels like nothing is changing. No progress. No reward. You're showing up every day, and the results just aren't there. And it starts to wear you down. You think, what's the point? Maybe I'm just not meant for this. Other times, it's failure. You try, and you fail. You try again, and fail again. And every time that happens, it chips away at your confidence. It makes you wonder if you're wasting your time, or if you're just not good enough. And then rejection comes in, maybe someone told you no, maybe you were turned down, criticized, or not taken seriously. That rejection can be painful, especially when you've poured your heart into something. And then there's comparison. This one is huge. You go online or talk to people, and suddenly it feels like everyone is ahead of you. Everyone's winning, everyone's achieving, and here you are, struggling. You start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why is it taking me so long? And that's a really dangerous place to be, because you start believing the lie that you're falling behind, or that you'll never catch up. There's also fear. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of failure. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of wasting time. And that fear can be so loud, so overwhelming, that quitting feels like the only way to make it stop. But here's the thing I want you to really remember: feeling like giving up doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. It means you care. You've been trying. You've been giving your energy and your heart to something that matters to you. That takes courage. That takes strength. And even though that feeling, the temptation to give up, can be really strong, it doesn't have to win. Because deep down, there's another part of you. A quieter voice. One that says, just hold on a little longer. One that believes there's something waiting on the other side of this struggle. And that voice deserves your attention too. So if you're listening to this and you've been feeling discouraged lately, maybe you've thought about giving up on something important to you. I just want to say this, I see you. I get it. And you're not alone. But I promise you, so many people have been where you are, and they made it through. And if they did, so can you. Alright, with that in mind, let's look at a few of those stories, real people who could have given up, but didn't, and what we can learn from them. Let's dive into a few real-life stories of people who had every reason to give up, but didn't. These stories are more than just motivational. They're proof that perseverance, despite all the setbacks, can lead to something incredible. The first story I want to share is that of J.K. Rowling, the author of the famous Harry Potter series. Today, she's one of the richest and most influential authors in the world, but her journey wasn't anything close to easy. At one point, she was a single mother, struggling with depression, and living on welfare. Writing was her escape, and she poured everything into creating the magical world of Harry Potter. But despite her passion and hard work, her manuscript was rejected by 12 publishers. 12! That means she got 12 no's before she got her big break. Can you imagine? That feeling of rejection, of seeing your dream project turned down again and again? Most people would have given up after the first or second rejection, but J.K. Rowling didn't. She kept believing in her story, and in herself, even when everyone else didn't. Eventually, one small publisher gave her a chance, and the rest, as they say, is history. What's the lesson here? It's not just about persistence, it's about not letting rejection define your worth. The world may say no, but it only takes one yes to change everything. The second story is about Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Now, Edison is one of those people we think of as a genius, someone who must have just had everything figured out from the start. But that's far from the truth. Edison faced failure after failure in his quest to create a working light bulb. He tried more than 1,000 different materials, and with every failed attempt, it must have felt like he was getting nowhere. In fact, many people would have given up after a few failures. Some would have called it quits after 100. But Edison didn't see his failures as defeats. He saw them as learning experiences. In his own words, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Imagine that mindset. He didn't quit because each failure was a step closer to success. He knew the importance of persistence, not to ignore failure, but to embrace it as part of the journey. And, of course, eventually, he succeeded. The lesson here is simple. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about using failure as a stepping stone to success. And then, there's Oprah Winfrey. Her story is a powerful reminder of how resilience can turn adversity into triumph. Oprah grew up in poverty, facing physical and emotional abuse, and had a difficult childhood. On top of that, early in her career, she was told she wasn't fit for television. She was even fired from her first job as a TV host. Can you imagine how heartbreaking that must have been? Here's this young woman with a passion for speaking and connecting with people, and she's told she'll never make it. That could have been the end of her story. It could have been easy to believe those critics and give up on her dream. But Oprah didn't let those early setbacks define her future. She didn't listen to the no's. Instead, she kept going, eventually creating the Oprah Winfrey Show, building her own media empire, and becoming one of the most influential women in the world. She turned her pain into purpose and used every rejection, every obstacle, as motivation to prove people wrong. Oprah's story teaches us that failure doesn't define us. How we respond to it, with courage and perseverance, does. Finally, let's talk about Nick Vujicic. Nick was born without arms or legs, and growing up, he faced constant challenges, both physical and emotional. He was bullied, he struggled to do everyday tasks, and he often felt like an outcast. Can you imagine the feelings of isolation and hopelessness he must have had? But instead of giving up, Nick decided to make his life matter. He learned to adapt, to thrive despite the odds, and he became a motivational speaker, inspiring millions of people around the world. He doesn't just talk about overcoming physical limitations, he talks about the strength of the human spirit and the power of choosing not to give up, no matter how difficult the journey is. Nick's story is a living example of resilience. It shows us that we all have the power to overcome the challenges in our lives, no matter how impossible they might seem. So, what do these stories have in common? They all experienced failure, rejection, or adversity. They all faced moments where they could have quit, where walking away seemed like the easier choice. But instead of giving up, they kept going. They kept believing in their vision, their purpose, and in themselves. It wasn't about not feeling discouraged or tired. It was about pushing through those feelings, even when it seemed like nothing was working out. And eventually, that perseverance paid off. The lesson here? Success doesn't come without struggle. It doesn't come without moments of doubt, failure, or pain. But if you keep going, if you stay committed to your path, even when it feels impossible, you'll get closer to the life you've dreamed of. These stories show us that no matter how difficult things get, it's not the setbacks that define us. It's how we respond to those setbacks, how we keep going despite them, that shapes our future. So if you're struggling right now, if you're feeling like you've hit a wall, just remember these stories. And know that just like these incredible people, you have the strength to keep going. Now that we've heard these powerful stories, let's talk about the lessons we can take from them and apply to our own lives. The first lesson is this: rejection is not the end. J.K. Rowling's story shows us that rejection is a part of the process. Every time she was told no, she could have given up. But instead, she took each rejection as one step closer to her dream. Rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. It simply means the timing isn't right or the right person hasn't seen your value yet. The key is to keep going, no matter how many doors are slammed in your face. You might be one yes away from changing your life. The second lesson is about persistence. Thomas Edison's journey is a perfect example of how persistence pays off. Edison didn't quit after 10 attempts, 20, or even 100. He kept going even after trying 1,000 different ways. It wasn't the number of times he failed that mattered. What mattered was that he kept learning from each failure and kept moving forward. Success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about learning from it and continuing despite it. So, don't let failure stop you. Let it teach you and guide you closer to your goal. Oprah's story gives us another crucial lesson: the power of turning adversity into fuel for success. She didn't just overcome her struggles, she used them as motivation to prove people wrong. Adversity doesn't have to break you. It can make you stronger if you let it. Oprah's resilience shows that the struggles we face in life don't define us. What defines us is how we respond to those struggles. Do we let them hold us back, or do we rise up, stronger than before? The next lesson comes from Nick Vujicic. and it's one of the most important ones, the power of mindset. Nick was born without arms or legs, but he didn't let that define him. Instead of focusing on what he didn't have, he focused on what he could do. He didn't let physical limitations stop him from achieving his dreams. His story reminds us that no matter what obstacles we face, we have the power to choose how we respond. If we can change our mindset and focus on our strengths, we can overcome just about anything. These stories show us that the road to success is rarely easy. There will be moments of doubt, failure, rejection, and pain. But if you keep going, if you don't give up, the outcome can be life-changing. One of the most important lessons to take away from all these stories is this: it's not the setbacks that define us, it's how we handle them. How we bounce back, how we keep pushing forward, and how we stay true to our dreams, no matter what. So, if you're facing tough times, remember that you're not alone. Everyone goes through struggles. It's part of the journey. But you have the strength inside you to keep going. Keep moving forward, and eventually, you'll reach the place you've been dreaming of. So don't let the temptation to give up control your story. You're capable of so much more than you know. Keep going. The next lesson we can learn is the importance of self-belief. When things get tough, it's easy to doubt ourselves and wonder if we're on the right path. But if you look at people like J.K. Rowling, Thomas Edison, Oprah Winfrey, and Nick Vujicic, they all share one thing in common: they believed in themselves, even when others didn't. They didn't wait for external validation to keep going. They had an inner conviction that their dreams were worth pursuing, and that belief kept them moving forward through every obstacle. It's important to trust yourself, even when the journey seems uncertain. If you don't believe in your potential, it's going to be much harder to push through the hard times. But if you cultivate self-belief, you'll find the strength to keep going, even when it seems like everything is falling apart. Another lesson is the importance of having a purpose bigger than yourself. When you're driven by something greater than just achieving success for yourself, when you're motivated by the impact you want to make, the people you want to help, or the change you want to create, it becomes easier to persevere. Oprah's story, for instance, is not just about her personal success. It's about using her platform to uplift others, to share stories that matter, and to inspire people to live better lives. When you have a bigger purpose, it fuels you during tough times. It keeps you going because you're not just working for yourself. You're working for a greater cause. A key point to keep in mind is that success is a journey, not a destination. Everyone's path is different, and while success may look like something specific to one person, it can look completely different to someone else. Edison's journey with the light bulb didn't happen overnight. He faced countless setbacks and obstacles. But he kept moving forward, believing that the process itself was just as valuable as the result. It's easy to get fixated on the end goal, but the truth is, it's the lessons you learn along the way that shape you into the person capable of achieving your dreams. So, try not to rush the process. Embrace the journey, and trust that each step, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to where you want to be. Finally, it's essential to surround yourself with the right support system. Even the most determined people can't do it alone. J.K. Rowling had friends who believed in her, Edison had collaborators who helped him test his ideas, and Oprah had mentors who guided her along the way. You don't have to go through challenges by yourself. Lean on those who encourage you, who understand your vision, and who are willing to help you stay focused and motivated. Your support system can provide perspective, advice, and even just a comforting word when you need it most. These lessons, belief in yourself, having a bigger purpose, embracing the journey, and leaning on the support of others, are all key ingredients in making sure you never give up. No matter what happens in life, you can overcome challenges, grow through them, and come out even stronger on the other side. Keep pushing, keep believing, and always keep going. Success is within your reach, but it's the persistence, mindset, and support that will help you get there. The next lesson is the importance of adaptability. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and success rarely looks like what we expect it to. One of the most powerful examples of this comes from the story of Thomas Edison. He didn't set out to invent the light bulb in the way we think of it today. He had to adapt, experiment, and adjust his approach time after time. The original design didn't work, and he had to find another way. Edison didn't get frustrated by the process. Instead, he embraced each failure as an opportunity to refine his approach. Success isn't just about sticking to one method. It's about being flexible and adjusting your strategy when things aren't working. Don't be afraid to change course if it means you're getting closer to your goal. Being adaptable gives you the chance to keep moving forward, no matter how many obstacles you face. The lesson here is that life will throw curveballs your way, and you need to be open to adjusting your methods. Sometimes the best solution is the one you haven't thought of yet. Don't lock yourself into a rigid plan. Stay open-minded, and be willing to try new things. Another key lesson comes from Oprah Winfrey's resilience. Life doesn't always treat us fairly, and the path to success is often filled with difficult circumstances. Oprah's childhood was marked by trauma and hardship, but she didn't let those experiences define her. Instead, she used them to fuel her drive to succeed. She turned the pain of her past into something positive, allowing her to empathize with others and motivate them through her work. This teaches us that our struggles don't have to be a barrier to success. Instead of focusing on how unfair life is, focus on what you can control and how you can use your experiences to grow and help others. There's power in turning adversity into strength, and Oprah's story is a powerful example of how to do just that. Nick Vujicic also shares a lesson about how to use limitations to your advantage. Nick was born without arms or legs, but he never let his physical challenges limit his potential. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't do, he focused on what he could do and found innovative ways to succeed. His mindset is a reminder that you don't have to have everything in the world to be successful. You don't need to have all the resources or the ideal circumstances. What matters is your attitude and your ability to adapt and make the most of what you have. This teaches us to stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect set of circumstances to start pursuing our dreams. The truth is, there's no such thing as a perfect situation. What matters is what you do with the situation you have. If you have the right mindset, you can turn limitations into stepping stones to success. Finally, there's the lesson of finding joy in the journey. When things get difficult, it's easy to become fixated on the end result, on achieving success as quickly as possible. But sometimes the most valuable part of the journey is the process itself. For J.K. Rowling, her love of storytelling kept her going through the toughest times. She didn't just want to write a best-selling book. She wanted to share a story that would inspire and entertain people. This passion for the work itself helped her push through the tough moments. This lesson teaches us to focus on the process, not just the result. Find what you love about the journey, and let that love carry you through the challenges. When you focus on the work itself, it won't feel as much like a struggle, and the success will feel much more rewarding. In the end, the key to never giving up is to stay adaptable, embrace your struggles, focus on what you can control, and find joy in the journey. By doing these things, you'll build the resilience and strength you need to keep pushing forward, no matter what obstacles stand in your way. Success isn't guaranteed, but persistence, adaptability, and mindset are. Keep going, and the results will follow. Another crucial lesson is the value of patience and timing. Sometimes, the hardest part of pursuing a dream is simply waiting for the right moment. It can be tempting to want everything to happen quickly, but true success often requires time. People like J.K. Rowling exemplify this lesson. Her path wasn't an instant success. She spent years working on her writing, dealing with rejection after rejection. But she didn't give up. She understood that the right timing and persistence would eventually lead to her big break. Her patience paid off when she finally found the right publisher for Harry Potter. Sometimes, it's not about rushing to the finish line, but rather being patient and prepared for when the opportunity arrives. Additionally, there's the power of passion. Passion is the driving force that keeps you moving forward, even when the road is tough. Oprah Winfrey's story is one of unwavering passion. She faced countless challenges throughout her life, but her love for helping others and her desire to make a difference kept her going. When you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work. You'll find the energy to push through the struggles and keep your focus. Passion fuels resilience, and when things get hard, it's what keeps you motivated. If you're passionate about what you do, you'll find that the obstacles become easier to handle. Nick Vujicic's life teaches us about the power of purpose. Born without arms and legs, Nick could have given up, but instead, he chose to focus on his purpose, helping others see the value in their lives, no matter what challenges they face. Having a purpose beyond personal gain adds meaning to your journey. It gives you something to strive for and keeps you going even when things seem impossible. A strong sense of purpose can transform the hardest moments into something worth fighting for. Another important lesson is about embracing failure. Failure is often seen as a negative experience, but in reality, it's an essential part of success. If you look at Thomas Edison, his numerous failures didn't stop him, they taught him. Each failure was a lesson, a step closer to finding the solution. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." He understood that failure wasn't the end of the road, but rather a necessary part of the journey. When you embrace failure and see it as an opportunity to learn, it becomes less scary and more empowering. Finally, there's the importance of taking action. You can have all the ideas in the world, but without action, they remain just ideas. J.K. Rowling didn't become successful by waiting for the right time. She wrote the books and kept going, even when things were difficult. Oprah didn't wait for success to find her. She built her career with hard work and consistency. Nick Vujicic didn't wait for life to give him the perfect conditions to speak to the world. He took action to make his dreams come true. Action is what turns dreams into reality. Without it, success remains out of reach. Patience, passion, purpose, failure, and action, these are the qualities that will help you keep going when everything seems to be falling apart. The road to success isn't always smooth, but with these values, you'll find the strength to persevere. Keep moving forward, and remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. In conclusion, the journey to success is rarely straightforward, and it often comes with its fair share of challenges, obstacles, and setbacks. The most important thing to remember is that these difficulties are not roadblocks, but opportunities for growth and learning. Success is not about avoiding failure, it's about facing it, learning from it, and using it to fuel your determination to keep moving forward. The lessons we've discussed, such as the power of patience, the importance of passion, and the value of persistence, are all essential components of the process. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned or when it feels like progress is slow. However, those who succeed are the ones who persist even when the odds are stacked against them, who continue to show up despite the doubts, and who stay focused on their long-term goals. Self-belief is another powerful tool that can carry you through the toughest times. When you believe in yourself, even the hardest challenges feel more manageable. You'll develop the resilience to keep going, no matter how many times you fall. It's also crucial to embrace discomfort because it's in those uncomfortable moments that real growth happens. Stepping out of your comfort zone and facing the unknown is what allows you to achieve things you never thought possible. Criticism, while often difficult to accept, is a key part of the journey. Instead of letting it discourage you, use it as a tool for improvement and self-reflection. Learn from your mistakes, grow from the feedback you receive, and never stop evolving. Along with learning from failure and criticism, consistency is the secret ingredient to long-term success. The results of consistent effort are often not immediately visible, but over time, your small steps will add up and lead you to significant achievements. It's important to remember that the road to success is not a sprint but a marathon. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, but if you keep pushing forward, stay committed to your vision, and maintain a strong belief in yourself, success will eventually be within reach. The people who never gave up weren't necessarily the ones who never faced challenges, but rather the ones who kept going in spite of them. Success is about resilience, patience, and the courage to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. As long as you keep believing in your goals and put in the necessary work, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The most important thing is to never give up, because the moment you decide to stop is the moment you lose the opportunity to succeed.